Hello everyone, this video is on locking in SQL Server. I want to use two transactions to demonstrate how these two transactions working on the same table, same set of rows can get into locking situations and also deadlocks. So what I have already is a table. I use a temp DB in SQL Server with a table, a very simple table test, two columns. X is integer, which is a primary key. Y is just a bunch of characters in varchar 10. I want to turn page locking off. So I want to work with individual row locks, and the locks cannot be escalated to page level locking or table level locking. So I turn lock escalation to be off. And a bunch of just three rows, one Ben, two Bob, and three Lisa. So if I do a select star from test, I basically have these three rows. All right. So over here on the other transaction, I'm going to also run SQL CMD, use temp DB, go, and now if I do a select star from test, I will get the same set of rows. All right, two transactions. All right, for the first one, going back to this left one, I'm going to begin a transaction. That's how I would start a transaction. So what I'm going to do now is to update the third row. All right, so update test set y is equal to Mary, where x is equal to 3. Oops, 3. All right. So I'm going to do that, and let me just make sure that I've done that. Select star from test. All right, so indeed Lisa has been changed to Mary. Now again, this is in the middle of transaction. I have not updated, I've not committed or rollback. So let me go over here and do a begin transaction here. Actually, I don't even have to do this, but that's okay. Begin transaction. Go. Now, if I do a select star from test, what do you think will happen with when I hit go? Should I show, should a database management system show Mary or Lisa? Oh, let's see what happens. If I hit go, nothing. It just sits there. Well, why? Because if it shows Lisa and I decide, or this transaction decides to commit, then it's not true because it's Mary, right? But if it shows Mary and this transaction decides to roll back, then again it's incorrect. So look at what happens if I go back to this the first transaction and I do a roll back. If I do that, look at the other transaction. When I hit go, the other one goes because it can continue to Lisa. All right. All right, so this is release. So let's do a rollback. Oh, not over here. I want to do a rollback over here and go. All right. Now, let me do the same thing, but in this case, I'm going to set this transaction up so that I don't mind seeing data that has not been committed. All right, so I don't want to get stuck. I don't mind seeing dirty data. That's what I'm trying to do. So again, I'm going to go over here, begin transaction, go. I'm going to just scroll back to the update statement, changing Mary to Elisa to Mary in the third row. All right. Okay, so, and then go. All right. So just to double check, select star from test again. This is Mary. All right. Okay, good. Now what I can do over here, if I just do a select star from test, again, I'll get stuck, but I can change what we call the isolation level. So I can do this, set transaction isolation level, read uncommitted. All right. So hit go. So now look at what happens if I do select star from test and hit go. All right, again, before I do that, I just want to remind you that I'm in the middle of of a transaction here, because begin transaction, no rollback, no commit yet. So here I'm trying to select start from test, even though the other transaction is trying to modify the data. When I hit go, I don't mind seeing bad data, which is Mary. Now, one more time, if I go back over here, if I do a rollback and then go, again, I will go back to Lisa. All right, and here, without doing anything, I can see Lisa. All right, so basically, locking works in this transactions in the sense as if this one is working on the row, this one would not be able to see it unless I don't mind seeing uncommitted data. All right. All right, the last part of this video is to demonstrate a deadlock. So I'm going to turn this back up to committed. So instead of doing read uncommitted, I want to allow read committed like the default original setting. Right. So back in here, I'm going to, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to modify the third row here. All right, that means it's logged. And over here, I'm going to modify the first row here. So it's going to be logged. All right. And then I'm going to try to read the entire table, which requires reading the first row, logged by this one. Here, I'm trying to do the same thing. I'm going to read the entire table, which requires me to read the third row, which is held on by this transaction. So let's begin. Begin transaction, go. I'm going to, again, go back to the previous update statement. Modify this last row to Mary where x is equal to 3. All right, and go. Now I'm not going to touch any other rows, all right, to allow this one, second transaction, to update. Okay, so I'm going to update test table set y is equal to David, okay, from Ben, where x is equal to 1. All right, and go. Now, both of these are doable because I've set there's just row locking and there's no lock escalation, so it won't go to a page lock or table lock. Now, let's see what happens if I try to select the entire table in both of these transactions. This one is locking the last row because I just modified from Lisa to Mary. This one has a lock on the first row from Ben to David. When I do a select star from test over here and I hit go, well, it gets stuck because it cannot show the first row that is being modified by this transaction. All right. Now I'm going to go over here and do a select star from test. When I hit go and hit return, well, it's trying to look at the whole table, and that requires looking at the third row that is being modified by this transaction. Let's see what happens. This is when deadlock comes in. When I hit go, pause for a little while, and then boom. All right, the system comes back and says, hey, there's a deadlock there. Everyone, well, in these two transactions, they're trying to get something else that is held on by another transaction. So this transaction was deadlocked on lock resources, all right, with another process. Guess which process? This one, and has been chosen as the deadlock victim. So basically, this transaction has been kicked out, all right, and this one can go on. So if I do well, I just did already. I did a select star from test. Now it's been changed to David, from Ben to David. So if I do a commit over here and then go over here, I can do a select star from test, then this is committed. So this one now can start another transaction to update Lisa to Mary. All right. So that's an example of a deadlock. So hopefully you have seen how locking works. Very simple. Sometimes you may not need to set the lock escalation to be disabled or set row locking to be off and so on. If you have a big table, you can see this. If you're updating two different rows in the same table, you can get into this kind of situation. All right. Thank you for watching.